Less than 20 hours of oxygen left. Rescue efforts intensify to locate the lost Titanic sub. The US Navy detected sounds of knocking deep underwater overnight, prompting hopes the missing men might still be alive. But it is a frantic race against the clock.
The Unified Command Team is working tirelessly to bring all available assets and expertise to bear as quickly as possible in response to this complex operation.
In the past half hour, the US Coast Guard has given an update on the search and insisted there is still hope. We have the latest. Also tonight, here new figures showing inflation unchanged at nearly 9% raises fears of higher interest rates. Yet another bitter blow for borrowers. The brutal reality of trench warfare, a special report from Ukraine on the human cost of every bloody mile reclaimed. No sorry from Suella Braverman for the suffering of the Windrush generation. An exclusive interview with the Home Secretary and...
Welcome to Glastonbury!
Getting the party started. Festival fans pitch up for Glastonbury 2023.
This is the ITV Evening News with Mary Nightingale.
Good evening. The US Coast Guard reiterated tonight they are working around the clock to find the missing Titanic sub. And despite its oxygen supplies set to run out tomorrow, rescuers say they're not giving up hope yet. The tiny craft has been missing since Sunday. Its five-man crew lost contact as they made the deep dive to the wreck of the Titanic. In an update in the last half hour, those coordinating the search in Boston stressed it is an incredibly complex operation, and they explained how ever-changing weather conditions are only making their task harder. Lucy Watson is in Boston for us tonight. Lucy.
Well, Mary, today there has been a mad scramble of aircraft and ships to get to that location where those noises were detected. As the oxygen levels on board that sub dwindle, a small amount of hope has now been reignited.
From first light, new vessels were deployed. An expanding armada of ships and equipment to aid the search. This time with renewed hope for a bleak mission on the high seas. A rescue being helped too from the skies. Planes heading for this site, where noises were detected by sonar 900 miles east from Cape Cod.
You always have hope. That's why we're doing what we do. With respect to the noises specifically, we don't know what they are, to be frank with you.
Determining the origins of those sounds and if they come from the missing submersible is a race against the clock, with oxygen levels inside dropping.
6.5%.
This video was taken on the Titan last year.
We got a surface.
High spirits among that crew on the same mission in waters 2.5 miles deep. But there have been concerns about exploring those depths in this vessel for years. Chris Brown should have been on board this trip with his friend British businessman Hamish Harding. He went, Chris chose not to.
I think most explorers assess the risks before deciding to go on an expedition. It's been quite a few years that they'll have been planning this expedition. They'll have looked at the risks and decided those were risks that they wanted to take.
We run the whole thing with this game controller.
Come on!
Safety fears over the craft and its parts have been alluded to in the US media before. They were also raised by official maritime organizations back in 2018.
This could probably have been prevented if some of our regular certification procedures had been followed. In the end, it is an experimental vehicle. A lot of risk is being taken, and it's a big gamble. And we thought that the risk was too high.
It is an uncertified vehicle in uncharted waters, with time diminishing, to save the lives of a father and his son, a British businessman, a French explorer, and the American who owns the vessel.
Well, Lucy Watson there reporting from Boston, and we will return to Lucy in just a moment. But in the meantime, the immense challenge facing the rescue crews is made all the harder by the sheer size and depth of the area they're searching. Even if they do manage to locate the Titan before time runs out, that could prove to be only half the battle. Our science correspondent Martin Stew is here to explain. Martin.
Well, Mary, you're exactly right. There are two challenges, really. The first is finding the Titan, and then the second is the rescue. Let's start with that search. A reminder, the Titan is relatively small. It's similar in size to a transit van. It's also painted white, so spotting that from the air, if it's on the surface, while searching an area of the ocean bigger than Wales, isn't easy. Now, if the reported banging sounds are coming from the Titan, that gives rescuers the chance to narrow the search area down. Planes and buoys are using sound waves to try and triangulate the position. They can't use radio waves or GPS because they don't work very well underwater. If they do locate the Titan, that moves us on to the rescue. Now, ideally, Titan is on the surface. If it is, the hatch would still have to be opened from the outside because the crew are bolted in. A reminder, it's estimated they only have around 17 hours of oxygen left inside the cabin. Now, if it's on the seabed, that's when things get much more complex. At a depth of 3,800 metres, it's pitch black, and the water pressure is so great, normal submarines would be crushed. So it's likely they'll be reliant on remotely operated vehicles known as ROVs. This is one, a robotic sub called Victor 6000, which is en route on board a French ship Atalante. One option would be for that to locate and then remove any obstacles stopping the Titan floating back to the surface. And the US Navy successfully used an ROV to retrieve an F-35 jet, which sank to a similar depth in the South China Sea last year. But from crash to retrieval, it took them 38 days. So time is running out. And Mary, when you bear in mind the fact that Victor 6000 only moves at walking pace, unless they can find an exact location for Titan pretty quickly, I'm afraid chances are fading.
OK, Martin Stew, thank you. Well, let's go back now to Lucy Watson in Boston tonight. Lucy, you may have heard Martin saying that obviously hopes are fading. They still haven't located the sub, but the Coast Guard insists there is still hope.
Absolutely, Mary. In the last few moments, he's just been speaking to us, and he was at pains to say this is very much a search and rescue operation still. It is not simply a recovery one. At the moment, there are 5 vessels at that site where those noises were detected. In the next 24 hours, 5 more are expected to join them. Now, most significantly, a French ship is on its way, and that is carrying the only underwater vehicle capable of rescuing the Titan. Martin just alluded to it. It is the Victor 6000. And how that works, it has the capability to fix a cable onto the sub and haul it up to the surface. But that won't get to that location until about midnight UK time.
Lucy Watson in Boston, thank you.